Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another game between two of the greatest players in the world. Kjur in the bottom left, who's sending out one of his first SCVs across the map. And in the top right, spawning as the red Zerg player, it's going to be none other than Rogue, of course. Been watching a lot of Rogue in ZVT lately and been loving his style. He's one of these players that can absolutely do anything that he wants to. He can play greedy, aggressive, we see Roach Challenge, we see Ling Bane, we see Mutalisk, we see Fast Lurkers, Hydra Bane. He really is capable of playing every single style from every single opener. I feel like he does require a slightly better start than Dark does. Dark very often has a terrible start and then still manages to somehow squeeze a win out of it. But when we see Rogue play off and his early game is extremely tight and gets just very far ahead in that early game stage. His early game just seems so diverse, at times overly aggressive, at times perhaps a little bit too greedy, but he has a lot of cool concepts. His run-bys are second to none, I think. Just the way that he run-bys, he uses burrow aggressively, and there's one thing that Rogue does a lot that no other player does, at least not that I've seen, and that's that Rogue often gets a fort base and then uses it as a decoy or as a bait in a way where it's like, okay, you can kill my fort base for free, and then sends out a massive run by with Ling Bane to kill 20-25 workers on the other side of the map, and that fort base will then provide him with the time to get enough Banelings at home to at least temporarily hold off the drop that heads out, the first Terran 2 medevacs. That's not quite going to be the case here as Kjur. What is this? Opening up with a strategy that I actually haven't seen in a long time. At least not in this matchup. Sometimes we see it in TVT, of course. A Proxy 2-Rex Reaper. That is just extremely uncommon, honestly. And I'm curious to see what Kjur has planned with this. What is the follow-up going to be? He's playing this off of 2 gas. He's going to be getting a couple of Reapers at least. 4 or 5. You see a spine go down immediately here rather than a spore. So this isn't just to save that worker, it's also he really wants to start getting a spine here. Oh my god, he almost got surrounded there with the spore and 2 links. Very dangerous. Takes a decent amount of damage on that first Reaper though, and it's kind of scary here. These 2 Reapers are going to town on these drones as we speak, and Reaper 3 and 4 are also on the way. Spine is still coming up, and a lot of these links will go down, or at least take major damage. First Queen pops out, and the Spine is about to finish up as well. Speed starting just now. This is a pretty decent start for Kjur. Because I haven't seen this build enough, I'm not quite sure what type of damage he needs to do. Like, what is the trade-off here for this early aggression? Now, obviously, his eco is going to be quite delayed. He took a lot of gas early on. We see a late second command center. Well, so far, no second command center. This allows him to put on a lot of pressure on his opponent. He already took out, I believe, 3 drones. I thought it was 2, but it's 3. We see Rogue actually trying to go for a surround, but a good grenade is going to save the majority of the Reapers. A single Reaper has gone down so far. Unit lost looking very healthy. A Spore didn't get cancelled here and just died instead. That is kind of expensive. Queens will be capable of taking out this little army. Good grenade usage, which means that these Reapers actually are trying to take out another Queen here. But the transfuse will become available in a couple of seconds. So Rogue is so careful. He needs to micro this perfectly. Speed is still 18-19 seconds away from finishing. That sounds like very little, but if there's 5 Reapers unleashed in your main base, that actually becomes quite a lot. Cool opener here though. Really cool opener. As we see the factory already getting a reactor. Its command center is being built on the high ground, and at this point, after 6 Reapers, or well, how many did he lose? 2 Reapers. So after 9 Reapers, he quits Reaper production. He uses 1 barracks to scout, gets a starport at home, and already has Hellion production. Worker count, of course, is in favor of Rogue, but there's still going to be a follow-up here. This isn't it. And I'm even afraid of this area. Imagine you put like 2 Hellions down here and then use the Reapers to kind of shoot at the Queens from a distance. This definitely is a move that Kjur could go for, but he could also just try to straight up fight at a 3rd base location. I love that he tries to land the barracks over here. When do you ever see a barracks landing trying to deny a base? Now, it's not going to work, but maybe he can force a cancel on this base. I mean, there's no creep whatsoever because Rogue was saving all of that energy. For a good reason, he wanted to get these transfuses. Now this base is going to die. That means the barracks is going to land. This is an absolutely brilliant play. I love this so much. What a cool strategy here out of Kjur. Super innovative. I haven't seen this before ever. Follow-up is also going to be a Viking here, which makes so much sense. Like, this entire strategy, like, you can see that he thought about it. Now, the reason why the Viking makes so much sense is because the rotations of these units are extremely important for Rogue to scout. Usually, you only need to keep your eye on maybe a single rotation, and that's this rotation, from here to here. Now, first of all, there's very little creep, which provides less vision. So Overlord vision becomes more important. And second of all, there's also the ability to jump into the main base. So that makes life just a little bit harder here for Rogue. And if he doesn't get that vision, because the Viking is out and is looking for Overlord kills, look at this. The reaction time for Rogue is way shorter. And that means that all of these rotations potentially can do more damage. Follow-up here is going to be Banshees behind it. So this is basically aggression forever. This is one of the coolest build orders I've honestly seen in such a long time. Map specific as well, because this location can obviously only work on Hardwire, and this thing isn't possible on every map either here. Parking these Hellions on the low ground. Gets a Queen for a Reaper. That's a good trade. Look at this! These Reapers are just safe. They can shoot at the Queens here, and well, they do need to still be careful. Queens do have some damage by themselves, but the Lynx are practically useless when these Hellions are on the low ground. Follow-up here is going to be Stim still, so even though that barracks had landed and died on the hatchery, still is going to need to build 2 extra barracks at some point. Probably 4 extra barracks in the end. Banshees are on the way already. With that Viking, there's no vision whatsoever. And although Rogue, Cure, sacrificed a lot of his eco, this game doesn't seem like such a bad situation, because he did get a lot of trades for it, and he put on a lot of pressure. He forced out a crap ton of queens. So far 3 queens have gone down, 2 more are on the way, so that's, well, 10 queens total so far. And this is the first time where Rogue can really say, okay, I'm chill right now, I can build some drones. And then the Banshee arrives. No spores in position, Overseer not ready yet. This Banshee is going to force a full-on pull on all of these drones. Oh my god, and it's gonna get just 8-9 workers here. This is beautiful play out of Cure. This is, I'm extremely impressed. This was a very cool build order. It always feels like when you play this type of opener that you need to do so much damage, and it's very difficult to pull off. And Cure just had all of these cool little tricks here, and 4 or 5 tricks all within one build. Looks like the party is about to end for him over here though, as Rogue sent up one hell of a surround. He's gonna push forward with the Spine, force this position to be given up. Now come the Lynx, Queens are joining in as well. These Hellions die, and that is a big deal, especially for thinking of a player as good as Rogue. Now we do see a bit of floating going on the side of Cure here. If that wasn't the case and that money actually was spent already, this would be a lot better. You see double barracks coming down, 1-1 upgrades as well, and that third CC is about to land. There still is a Banshee back here that's never going to be capable of contributing anything in its life. And there's a second Banshee heading towards the third base as well. Fourth base going down at the 8-minute mark here, and it seems to me that we're heading into a Lingbane Hydra game. Yep, there comes the Hydra then. As we're on 5 gas here for Rogue. It's obviously the optimal gas count for Hydra Lingbane. I mentioned it before in other games that I've casted. If you're on 5 gas, it usually indicates Hydra Bane. 6 gas indicates Muta Lingbane, and 4 gas indicates Lingbane. Anything less than 4 gas, well, tends to be slightly more all-in and not as high on Banelings, and most likely still going to be Lingbane. If you play Roaches, I think you just play 6 gas, but I mean, then you don't get melee upgrade, so it's pretty obvious as well. I think there were double scans actually going down. And one scan obviously to clear some creep, the other scan was to try and figure out what the good old Rogue is doing, but the Hydra then went down at the third base, which now means that Cure still isn't completely aware. You'll see the lack of 1 gas though, and that's actually a big deal. So the fact that he sees that there's no gas here, this should basically tell him, okay, I won't need turrets and I won't need Tors. And now he needs to make the decision. Does he want tanks or does he want to start mine production ASAP? And it seems like he's sticking with tanks for now. I think that's the correct decision if you're playing against a Hydra Lingbane type of style. At this point, by the way, Rogue did manage to get to a drone count that he so desires. At the same time, Cure is getting a pretty decent army over here. 135 supply against 135. And although the opening was very odd, this is a common mid-game. It's a mid-game that we see often. Even supplies, equal upgrades. Both players will be content with their position. Perhaps Rogue wishes that he had slightly more. Usually with Hydra Bane, you kind of want to be capable of pushing, because this really is a pushing army. Majority of the time, when you're going very heavy into those Hydras early on, You want to be doing some stuff with it. It's not quite going to be the case. I also like this fort base. Not sure how good it is for any type of low ground attack here. Is that even possible with tanks? I don't think the pad there is actually playable. Oh my god, these tanks are in the wrong position. What are they doing? Cure. Oh no, what a mistake. This rally has gone completely wrong. Just awful rally here out of Cure. Actually wants to start moving towards that low ground position. We have a tank in this medevac. We have a couple of tanks in the other medevac as well. I think there's, okay, one more. So 2 tanks total. There's a couple of helmets at home. One more tank as well. We have double factory tank production. Vehicle weapons level 1 on the way as well. Yeah, I don't think Cure can actually go down this ramp. In that case, Rogue's gonna pull the trigger. Just take him out. Do note that the creep spread, because of that early game, is still relatively mediocre. There's not that many creep tumors. And also, all of these creep lanes are single tumors. Look at that. Someone who loved doing this back in the day was Scarlet. She was very good at having a single creep tumor just push out the lane completely. And Rogue here is doing the same thing. Doesn't actually have that many active tumors, but he has a crap ton of tumors from that single tumor. And that's cool as well. These tanks are going to die, and this position has to be given up here. Extremely bad fight for Cure. It's gonna regret taking that. Wasn't quite aware of where Rogue's army was, I think. And probably didn't expect it to come from this little ramp. It's kind of frustrating. Your tank count getting reset is never something that is what you want, of course. 79 workers, 3 more on the way. Hive on the way as well. Fort base has finished at this point for Cure. Is about to finish for Cure. I'm actually starting to favor Rogue's position a little bit in this game. I really am. It's just for the simple reason that at this point he does have that map control. He has a good enough army to basically survive. The tank count getting practically reset is a big deal. So that is often a weak point. Ooh, up this ramp? Can you fight that? I don't think you can, Rogue. No, you can't. It's gonna need to return back home. There's no creep here on this left side, which makes all of these trades a little bit awkward. Now, what I was gonna say is that often the main issue with Hydra Bane is a big tank push with 2-2, while there is 6-7 tanks, and Zerg didn't quite manage to get out these Vipers yet. Then these tanks are just so powerful against this army, but because that tank count got reset, because this is not a maxed army, Rogue still has the ability to perhaps defend. We'll need to start Vipers ASAP though, now that the Hive is done. Instead is going to opt for 13 more Banes, which is kind of like a Band-Aid, if Band-Aid would explode straight in your face and destroy the wound. But yeah, it is scary here, because if this fight doesn't work for Rogue, he's dead. That's just how it's gonna work. However, with Vipers, you often can grab a couple of tanks and you can weaken the push already before you decide to go for the big fight. And now, it basically needs to be one big fight. And if the fight isn't correctly set up from the start, you can't really retreat out of it, because there's no way to retreat. I like that he's waiting for the Vipers. I genuinely think that is a good call. Still trying to set up a flank as well. Might actually give up mining on this base a little bit on top of that as well. First Viper still need to get some energy. Here comes the attack out of Rogue. 2 Liberators in position though. A couple of tanks. There's one tank on the high ground. Marines trying to move to safety, but there's just too many Banelings. And I think this push is going to get cleaned up. All of the tanks once again going to get reset. Now, the overall trades have been good for Cure, but because the income has been fantastic here for Rogue, still in a supply lead. Hardwire is a map that sometimes tends to get a little bit split map-ish. Which means that we get a split map scenario, split mappery. Like slippery, but different. And especially once Ghost and there's large tank numbers in play. This type of area is so difficult for Zerg to push onto. And this base is difficult to push onto as well, because these small ramps are just difficult to move down. It tends to be the reason why. Once that happens, I mean, Terran just always trades better, as we can see in the units lost tab right now. I really do like this position, and how focused Cure is on this position. He says, you know what, I don't give a crap about that right side. I'll have a Banshee there that's going to deny a base and deny any further creep tumors. My main concern here is with this base. Vipers are going to throw down a perfect Blinding Cloud on top of 2 of those tanks. Liberators are going to get pulled, and then once again, well, actually... Is this a cleanup? There's a lot more Banelings that need to come in right now. Seems like Rogue was almost saving those, but he can't save those for much longer as they need to start exploding on things. A fight that actually was pretty efficient here for Rogue. It's rare to see. I think it was 9k against 15k before. And this also still is about 6 to 7k resource loss difference. So maybe slightly worse fight, but not by all that much for Rogue. And just a slightly worse fight is a win in the book of the average Zerg player. Is there burrow yet? There's no burrow yet. I've seen so many cool things with these links lately out of Rogue that I'm really hyped to see what this is going to be capable of doing. We'll try to get these tanks. We'll get the tanks. Adrenal Glands, of course, the friend of your everyday Zerg, and definitely the friend of Rogue as well. Double drop will be capable of taking out this hatchery. I don't think this run by was actually too successful. The hatchery falls, a lot of links go down. This drop is not going to get cleaned up. We'll be able to get to safety. Double parasitic bomb, of course, doesn't stack. These medevacs will survive with about 40 HP or so. What is this? 27 HP they survive. Exactly 27. I didn't know that was the case. That was like 40 or 30. How wrong I was. Alright, 15 more Banes on the way. Bane count still... Well, actually, it's only at 20 at this point. There's no lurkers on the way yet. Is there even a lurker den? There's no lurker den. I just wish that Cure would wait a little longer and really just go for that big max out push. Rather than with the 170, 160 supply. I mean, once again, it's just down 20 supply. There is a crap ton of tanks here. There's a bunch of Marauders willing to tank these Baneling shots as well. I'm not quite sure if they're willing, but they're gonna have to do it as the Banelings are rolling in. This was a fight where once again the tank count gets semi-reset. A lot of the medevacs stay alive though, and the first time that Cure actually keeps this position for now and gets to cancel this hatchery once again. If we take a look at the unit lost here, we see that that was a plus 2k-ish fight when it comes to the resources. That's a good thing. We have one more parasitic bomb. We'll be capable of taking out, I think, 2? No, just one of these medevacs. Good control, of course, out of Cure. I'm not sure why I doubted him. We have tanks being rallied across the map. Do I like that? Yeah, I do like that, because Cure made the decision, and Cure doesn't really make bad decisions majority of the time. As I say that, of course, that tank is just straight up going to die if it doesn't get picked up. Oh, gets the pickup. We'll be capable of evacuating that. Couple more Vipers. Is there a parasitic bomb? No, we're going to see 2 abducts, though. These are the final abducts. There's no boost remaining. In a couple of seconds, we will get a boost. These medevacs are actually pretty important, because the medevac count has been relatively low the entire game. If you lose 3 medevacs there, would not be good. 7 medevacs will do the trick for now. 173 supply. Right side base still not taken here. And I was saying that Rogue had a good eco all game long, but at this point he really has been stuck on, what, 5 base for the majority of this game. This right side base can't be taken. These left side bases have not really been taken. Lurker Den is now on the way, which is good. And the one thing that Cure is lacking is extra command centers. He's trying to get those, but he's lacking the scans in order to fight lurkers, and that is actually often a very big thing in the game, is having scans to be able to see where the lurkers are and be able to shoot them. Most of the time you actually can't see where the lurkers are, because that's where your units die. It's also nice to be capable of shooting. This is a classic Rogue run by the way. This is the 100 Zergling run by. This really is a Rogue classic. Does he have the burrow yet? No burrow. It's not going to go for the burrow. It's just going to straight up kill this planetary here, and we'll be capable of getting it. It's trying to defend with a bunch of Hydras. He's going to need a couple of Banelings at home as well. Vipers will help him out. Banelings going in first. Is Cure paying attention? He is. And none of these Banelings are really going to connect with the Marines in a major way. Which means that right now, I'm actually kind of favoring the position for Cure. He's going to be capable of taking out 2 bases. Rogue took out a single base. And he's going to clean up a lot of these Marauders. I like this position though, because there's not enough surface area for these... Oh, never mind. The Lynx just walk through. They can create their own surface area. I don't give a crap. Oh my god, he just killed all of the bases except for the main and the natural. Rogue still on 160 supply, 68 workers against 56. Cure not rebuilding workers for some reason though. Doesn't feel like it's necessary perhaps. He's getting a Ghost Academy. Has enough at home. There is lurkers, but can Rogue just move across the map aggressively? I don't think he can. But he needs to, because there's no future in this game for him. He has no income whatsoever. 390 a minute. 400, 500. He's long distance mining right now. It's a single patch over here. He's mining with 23 drones from a single patch. That's huge. And then he has about 40 drones long distance mining from his... What was that? The 5th base maybe? It's just an issue. It's really just an issue for Rogue. He needs to go ASAP, but he can't go because there's still this army over here, which he can't clean up. If you can't clean up this army, the moment you leave your base, you're going to lose absolutely everything. And I don't think... Yeah, that's just... This is hard. Feels like there's no good decision here for Rogue. He's really stuck between a rock and a hard place. The walls are closing in, and he has nowhere to go. Seismic Spines is being researched, and I think after that finishes up, he will have to start moving out. This army just isn't growing, and the problem is that Cure's army is growing. He's gonna get an orbital command here. That shows how confident he is that Rogue can't really move across the map. Rogue's gonna start expanding towards the far right side here. Cure's already in position with a decently huge army this is. This is a lot of damage output in this army. There's 2 lurkers here, but there's a bunch of transfuses ready as well. Vipers are coming in, more Banes being built, and we have a big lurker move in general here. Going towards that right side, and I think this is going to be the push. It's only 127 supply though for Rogue, so that push is going to be half supply of his opponent. There's a bunch of Ghost out already, Liberators, tanks. So this army on the left side as well. You see the scan, and one of these lurkers is going to fall. I think all of these lurkers are going to fall. More lurkers coming back home. There's no adaptive talents, which means that the burrow time of these lurkers is so painful to watch. Here come the lips. Cure knows he's ahead and wants to push that advantage a little bit. GG gets called as a Rogue needs to tap out. Cure wins the game with a really cool opener. The double Proxy Reaper. Double Barracks Proxy Reaper. And that's going to be it for today. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you all next time for a new video. Thank you so much for your time, and bye bye.